Okay, so this is a video I found, which I find is quite interesting. This lady makes a point of view that there is this agenda out in this world where whatever the propaganda is to get rid of Macedonians, there is a reason. Obviously the truth isn't going to be told to the entire world, but the agenda is in place. Same with when you've got the elites trying to make this whole one world order, one world religion system as part of their agenda as well, and also getting rid of millions of people. So, you know, think about that. I'm going to record this because I don't know how to, I think, yeah, like I said last time, me and technology don't mix. Let's watch. Pretty cool, actually. That's statues. That's probably statues that they've torn down now. Forced the Macedonians to probably tear. My mum told me that they were tearing down old statues and stuff over there. They were putting away Macedonians that were protesting in prison just because they were protesting. So, not very good. There is an agenda for sure. And the Greeks, yes, they're part of it too, but so is the UN and so is America.
Today's Greek propaganda does everything it can to convince the world that ancient Macedonia was Greek and that the ancient Macedonians were Greeks. The reasons for this are merely political and well known. It is of great importance for Greece to prove that the name Macedonia and Macedonians were Greek, which would mean that today's Macedonians have no historical right to use these names. However, despite these claims, some relevant written sources say the biggest opponents of today's Greek propaganda are exactly the works of the ancient authors. A lot of these works contain clear claims that the ancient Macedonians were not Greeks or Hellenes, and that in a big part of their history, these two different nations are very unfriendly towards each other, especially because of the ancient Greeks being under Macedonian slavery for centuries.
Exactly.
Within
Back with
40
Alexander
video
the Great
clips,
and all that.
we shall present testimonies from over
Not
50
anymore, though.
ancient authors who claimed the ancient Macedonians were not Greeks and that Macedonia was never Greek in the past. The data will be
that's how big
presented in these
Macedonia
video
used to
clips
be.
will initiate a hard defeat on the present Greek propaganda and historiography in the world's public eyes. Arrian is a well-known ancient historian. His full name was Lucius Flavius Arrianus Xenophon. He lived in the 1st and 2nd century. He is also known as Arrian of Nicomedia, named after his birth city located in the northwest part of today's Turkey. His most famous works are the biography of Alexander the Great, known as the Anabasis of Alexander, and Indica, which represented a description of the Macedonian army returning from India.
Zechariah Sitchin also mentions Alexander the Great in parts of his books.
It is well known that he based Alexander's biography mainly on the works of the Macedonian general Ptolemy and Aristobulus, who participated in Alexander's expedition. According to their now lost historical legacies, Arrian clearly distinguished the Macedonians from the Greeks. We will submit several examples.
I think that's meant to be a statue of Alexander the Great, which is probably torn down now. Nice job, world.
It is little known that Alexander the Great of Macedonia attacked Persia. Tens of thousands of Greeks fought in the Persian army against the Macedonians. A great number of these Greeks were killed,
That I
and
didn't
others
know.
were enslaved and sent to work in Macedonia,
Oh, that's
while the
fine.
Macedonian army advanced in Phrygia, present-day Turkey. Athens sent a delegacy to Alexander, pleading to release the Greek prisoners that were captured as members of the Persian army. In relation to this, Arrian writes,
Here an embassy reached Alexander from the Athenians, beseeching him to release to them the Athenian prisoners who had been captured at the river Granicus, serving in the army of the Persians, and were then in Macedonia, serving in chains with the 2,000 others captured in that battle.
Crossing over the Granicus.
In 333 BC, the Macedonian army advanced deeper in Persia. The Persian king Darius III gathered a huge army, and the famous battle at Issus took place. In relation to this, Arrian writes,
But as soon as Darius was certified of Alexander's approach for battle, he conveyed about 30,000 of his cavalry, and with them 20,000 of his light-armed infantry across the river Pinaros. Of the heavy-armed infantry, he placed first the 30,000 Greek mercenaries to oppose the phalanx of the Macedonians.
Here we see that the number of Greeks who fought in the Persian army against Alexander the Great was at least 30,000. We can also see that these Greek units were sent to fight against the strongest part of the Macedonian army, the Macedonian phalanx. Arrian says the biggest clash between the Greeks and the Macedonians happened in the battle at Issus, and the main reason for this was the great hatred between these two peoples. Arrian writes,
There was a violent struggle. Darius's Greeks fought to thrust the Macedonians back into the water and save the day for their left wing, already in retreat. The fight was further embittered by the old racial rivalry of Greek and Macedonian.
Why is it still going on today, though? But come on, it's like everyone should. It's enough, you know? Let your country live the way your country wants, and let Macedonians live the way Macedonians want. Simple. I don't know how long this video goes for.
can there be a bigger and clearer example of the differences between the Macedonians and the Greeks than this one? The ancient historian Arrian, using data and information from the Macedonian historians Ptolemy and Aristobulus, clearly wrote that the old racial rivalry existed between the Macedonians and the Greeks. This is one of the highest levels of impatience and hatred that can exist between two nations.
Wow.
So after reading this statement, can one claim that the Macedonians and the Greeks were the same nation? What kind of members of the same nation
will fight
has racial rivalry
Exactly.
between each other?
Exactly.
Let the Greek propaganda respond to this.
So I was thinking, okay, Fantastic video.